In this video, we're talking about things you should not be including in your Airbnb, so stay tuned. Vacation Rental Machine helps hosts just like you learn how to start, grow, and scale your short-term rental business. This show is all about creating systems that help you automate your business, giving you more time and money freedom. If you're ready to start living the vacation rental life, then subscribe to this podcast today. Come and join us on our Facebook group, The Host Nation, where we'll be talking about starting, automating, and scaling a short-term rental business. Now, on to the show. Hey, welcome back, Host Nation, to another episode of Vacation Rental Machine. I'm Julian Sage with John Bell, and in this video, we're talking about things that you should not be including in your Airbnb short-term rentals. So, John, a lot of people think, oh, this is an Airbnb, this is a short-term rental, so we should include everything in it. It should have the kitchen, and it should have the computers, it should have everything that you would expect in a regular home rental that you can expect in your property. Or maybe there's a lot of people that are converting their properties into short-term rentals, and maybe they still have a lot of things in there. But are there specific things that people should not be including, and why should they not be including them?
You know, Julian, coming from the IT background, just like you and I would definitely say computers. You don't want to leave a computer accessible to anybody that can come in because smart people like myself and you could come in and possibly put something on the computer that could potentially spy on anybody. And we just don't want that. We don't want our guests to feel like they're either being watched or even have the minute feeling that something is going on. People might use the computer to log into their bank accounts and stuff like that. And if that stuff is being keylogged by somebody else, that could be really, really bad for your guest. And it can only probably link that event to your listing, which might lead to lawsuits and other things. So don't include those items. Taking that a step further, you should definitely be setting up a primary Wi-Fi and then enabling that guest account for your guest to use. What that does is separates the network traffic from your primary devices so your guests can work off another subnet so they're not interfering or can connect to anything else. They can't hack anything else that's on that network. And you just want to make sure that that's not being done in your home.
So, John, when you're talking about a primary network and a secondary network, I mean, right now, a lot of these Wi-Fi routers, if you're using like a Google Mesh system to be able to connect Wi-Fi in larger properties, a lot of them are very easy to just be able to connect a secondary network or a guest network. But what type of specific devices should you be connecting to your primary network versus a guest network?
You know, I would always connect my smart devices all to my primary network. That means my smart lock is not going to be explorable on my guest network for somebody to manipulate. Same thing with my thermostat, my TVs, and just anything else that I have in the house. Even my noise aware is going to be on my primary network. You definitely don't want this on your guest, and you want to purge your guest network pretty frequently, maybe every quarter or something like that, or whenever the device and the connections just get really vast. I mean, you might see a list of over 150 devices, and those devices typically won't come back unless they're a business client of yours that comes back. So you can purge the list, but you definitely want to separate everything that is yours inside of the house from what your guest will bring in.
Right. Sounds like, John, we're probably going to have to make another episode just talking about internet security and devices because that can get pretty in-depth. But just know you want to set up a secondary network and you want to be able to separate that. You don't want to include your primary network for your guests to be able to access because that is a security risk. So talking about security, cameras is something that, you know, obviously is important in this business, but what other types of cameras and indoor monitoring devices should we be including and not including?
We should be including noise monitoring devices and party squatting devices that read how many cell phones are inside of the place if it's a single family home. But what we should not be including is internal cameras into a space. There is one caveat to that. And that is if you have a shared space, like you're doing like a hostel or something like that in the common areas, you're allowed to have a camera, but you must specifically make sure that everybody knows that those cameras are there. I almost would just label it in red on the wall that this is a camera. There are plenty of Airbnb guests that come in and they start looking for cameras or just odd little things with little holes in it. I've seen people cover up the little sensors that are for the windows in case the windows break. They have a little hole in there. People will put a sticky note over top of it because they think it's a camera, or they'll just clog any type of thing that has any type of sensor on it. And it's not a camera. But you want to make sure that your guests are feeling safe. So it's okay when they do those things.
The third thing you should not be including in your Airbnb is if you have a lot of stuff, maybe you should just start to downsize because of everything that is happening in the world right now. Sanitizing is definitely important. And if you have just a lot of stuff everywhere and drawers that haven't been opened in a long time, or just, knick-knacks and all these different things that maybe people are touching, those are all really kind of a safety risk, because now other people could be exposed, and there is definitely a heightened sense of concern. There is another level of sanitizing that we should be having on all of our properties. So having less is actually more in your short-term rentals. So if you can reduce that quantity, that will definitely help your guests out. The fourth thing that you should also be doing and considering is condiments. So John, putting like actual food or reusable things like maybe ketchup and mayonnaise and olive oil and all of these different things, should these be things that people should be including? Salt and pepper, which stuff should you be including and which stuff should you not be including in your short-term rentals?
The quick answer is things that are sealable on their own, like they're single use and sealable. Those items are okay. Packets of ketchup should be fine, versus having a big bottle of ketchup in the refrigerator that anybody can come out and use and squirt and open and close. That probably isn't something that you want to have in your listing. But when you're talking about salt and pepper, I'm okay with salt and pepper kind of sitting there. However, you still should include some type of packets just in case you really are running into that one guest that actually doesn't want to interact or touch anything from anybody else. So you want to make sure you cover your bases. You also need to include some type of hand soap or hand sanitizer. This is 2021, people. We are definitely hand sanitizer everywhere condition. So let's be prepared for that.
So John, for the people that are converting a property, maybe it's their primary residence, into a short-term rental, what other things should they not be including in their properties?
Short answer is anything you deem valuable or important to you or your family, it should not be there. It's funny, our guests just do random things and they don't feel the same value or attachment that you might to some certain items, whether it could be a vase that you gotten from grandma, or maybe it's passed down from generation to generation. Somebody will come in the house and they will bump a table and it will fall on the floor and they would say, oh well, and they'll leave you $30 on the table and say, that's what I thought it was worth. That's something that you don't want to kind of go through. At the same time, of course, having a listing that says, hey, brand new PS5 available for your use, sounds like to a guest, I could take that PS5 by staying for one night and just roll out with it. And then I don't have to answer the phone when they call and say that it's gone. So you want to make sure you're either securing those items appropriately, whether it's behind a locked door or actually just taking it out completely. You just want to make sure your space is perfect, and no matter what happens, you're somewhat comfortable and you have only items that can get replaced, like a chair or something like that, that need to stay and can get refurbished or replaced without any issues or any ties.
And the last thing that we're going to say that you should not be including are keys. Now, I understand that not everybody this is going to be applicable to. You might be in a place where you have to be able to provide keys. But if you can remove keys from the equation, that will save you a lot of headache and a lot of stress, because guests lose keys, they're touching keys, they might, forget the keys in their bag. All of these common problems that happen with keys. If you can remove keys completely from the equation and just put in there some type of smart lock system, that is definitely something that can help you. And if you want to know what our recommendations are for the top smart locks that we use in our business, we're going to include a video somewhere over here and down in the description. We're also going to include our kit down below, where you can actually find the same tools that we use in our own business, some of our Amazon essentials. You can find those in our kit down below. Those links are affiliate links, and they do help support the channel if you do decide to purchase anything from our kit. So question of the day, what are things that you stopped including in your Airbnb short-term rentals? We'd love to know what you do not include down in the comment section down below. And until next time, Host Nation, keep on hosting. If you'd like John and I to answer your guys' questions, then be sure to go to the Host Nation Facebook group and use hashtag AskVRM. Hope you hosts found value in this episode. If you did, please go on over to iTunes and leave us a review, as that would greatly support the show. If you'd like to connect with John, the community, and I, then go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation. Talk to you hosts in the next episode. Keep on hosting.